So this is my third video, and I'm just going to do a short one tonight. I want to share some of the things I do magically and kind of offer them as tips to those of you trying to get started. For a long time I didn't have any tools, and if I did have tools, they were herbs from the kitchen or a wooden wand. I was lucky if I had tea light candles and stuff like that, and I just had to go by feel. I did a cleansing with dill and salt, and now I know that that's actually a really good thing, and lots of people suggest it. I'd light a candle and I'd pray into it. I would light a candle and meditate with it, only I didn't know that the term was meditation. And so these are some of the things that you can do that you don't necessarily have to go out and buy a bunch of tools for. Some of the things that I did for the first 4 years when nobody knew I was pagan except for a really, really close girlfriend of mine, was I'd go outside and I'd be in nature. I'd get dirty. I'd go and pick flowers. I would take care of animals. I'd take care of my animals. And these things weren't looked at twice as something religious, but they were religious to me. I, as a teenager, had a fascination with houses that no one lived in anymore, and so I'd go into them and take lots of photos. I would be respectful in those houses, though, and one of my most favorite ones was one I caught some of my first orb photos with, and I would just experience the nature around me in those houses, and that was me being pagan. It wasn't a bunch of tools. It wasn't a bunch of magical spells. I did eventually move into a house where I set up a permanent altar. My first altar was a wooden stump I rescued from the fire that we had for a wood stove. And my mom was like, "What are you going to do with that?" And I was like, "I'm going to sit in my room and it's going to be pretty." And she didn't really think anything else of it. I put a candle on each side of it and a pretty little scarf underneath it, and that was my altar. And I still have that stump on one of my altars. After that, I sat one out, outside, and I left it. It's still there at my mom's house, who barely accepts that I'm pagan, but it's still there. I filled the space with old horseshoes and salt, and I would bury things in the space that were spells. I had a candle for the longest time left there that just melted into the wood that was the altar. And these things were simple. Me going through the pine trees to get to the outside altar was in itself a ritual and a spell, and then I would go and look at the moon. And going for walks on the property and spending time with my animals, those were rituals. So if you are a teenager or someone who literally cannot do more than that, spending time with animals and nature and looking at the stars and the sun and the moon, well, don't look into the sun, but on sunny days, and just spending that time looking above you and outward and sometimes even within you, that's paganism, if you choose it to be, or that's spirituality, that's religion, and it's certainly a form of paganism to me. So, yeah, have a good night.